I'm so excited to have you with me today and share all your knowledge with our viewers. And I've been talking about you nonstop ever since the training, and people have been asking me many questions. And today I gathered some important ones for you to answer, because you're the queen of NLP. So who is best than you? So welcome.
Thank you.
I am here today with people who don't know who you are, with Elizabethannewalker. She's the world leading integrated NLP trainer. She impacted over 100,000 lives all over the world. I'm one of them. And I'm just so touched that you actually made the time to come.
No.
Thank you. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm a little nervous, if you can tell.
Oh, just go for it. I love you.
I want to start with the most important question everyone's asking. What is NLP?
Right. So this is really interesting, because wherever you look, you'll get 100 different answers. So what is NLP? So neuro, meaning the mind, linguistic, meaning language, and programming, referring to the kinds of programs that have happened to us since we were very, very young. For example, we had a program that tells us whether we're good enough or whether we're not good enough. We have programs about money, whether we think it's easy to get or hard to get. Something like our parents saying money doesn't grow on trees. That's actually a program, and it makes people grow up believing that money's difficult to get and that abundance is something that's only destined for certain people. So those are the programs that we're talking about. And I'll give you a very Australian program. I know most of your viewers are over in the US. I'll give you an Australian program. So in Australia, there's this thing that is, you can't go swimming for an hour after you eat. I don't know if you have that in the US.
We do.
It's a program. There is no scientific evidence to say that swimming after you eat is a problem. Now, in the olden days, perhaps if people were gluttony, filling their bellies really full and they went swimming and they didn't know how to swim, maybe if you went to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on them, there'd be food there. That might be problematic. However, there's no real evidence. And I have a theory. I think that people would go camping in the summer and the mums would want to clean up all of the lunch before they went to the beach. So they just told their kids, hey, you can't go swimming for an hour after you eat, so that they could get everything cleaned up. And this is just a funny, but it's a program, right? So there's programs in everything we do. We have programs for love. We have programs for hate. We have programs for doing things, programs for not doing things, programs for procrastination and motivation. All of these things are things that we've been programmed, sometimes knowingly, consciously, and sometimes unknowingly and unconsciously. And I want you to think about, I'm not good enough is a big one in society at the moment. And really people are there and they're like, I want to do something more with my life. I want to create more with my life. I've got so much potential and I feel like I'm not living up to it. And then because of this little program that says I'm not good enough, they don't do the thing that they wanted to do. Now, that's just what they blame that on. They blame it on this I'm not good enough thing that keeps creeping up, a limiting belief, whatever they call it, when in actual fact, they do believe they're good enough because they keep showing up. They keep coming back for more. They keep saying, I've got to do something. They go again and they try again and again and again. And the real thing is, the real program in there somewhere is, I don't believe I can do it. And that often comes from something as simple as a teacher telling you that you weren't writing properly, as a parent telling you that you didn't mow the lawn properly, as an uncle saying, don't stir the gravy like that at Christmas. Like, there's so many things that these little programs can be developed from. And then over the years, our reticular activating system, the part of our brain that looks for certainty, it will look to sustain those beliefs. So if we then fail at a test in school, okay, yep, but that makes sense because I'm not good enough. And then, we fail in a relationship in our teenage years. Well, that makes sense. I'm not good enough. And we keep adding to these limiting beliefs. So these are programs that we then run our life by because our unconscious mind believes them to be true. And it's almost like we set ourselves some rules and then we have to follow the rules. So that's what NLP is. And what we do is we go through and look at what's in our mind, what are the words that we're speaking, and what are these programs that we're wanting to deconstruct and recreate so that we can move towards what it is we want in life.
For me, it was, I need to work hard to be successful. And if I didn't work hard and if I got success, I did not appreciate it. Oh, that just happened because of luck.
Yeah, because someone probably said to you, and you being of immigrant parents, like, you know, it's hard work. We had to work hard to get here. We had to work hard to get what we've got. And it's just a program.
Yes. Thank God I don't have it anymore.
Yay.
Tell me about what is integrated NLP, which you are teaching.
Yeah, so this is where the distinction comes in. So when we think about integration, I love a hand movement for things. So when I think about integration, it looks like this. And everything just comes together beautifully and just settles. Yeah. Other people say it looks like this, like it's where all of us comes together and sits in our heart. And integration for me is the ability to leave the course knowing that you can do it, knowing that you've impacted lives already within the training, knowing deeply in your heart and feeling and seeing and hearing and thinking that you know what you're doing in terms of creating benefit in someone else's life. You know, a lot of, like, you can get NLP online these days for $7. There are people who sell that. And it's literally just some PowerPoint slides like, look at this, then this, then this, then this. And there's none of the depth in it. And Juliet, you would know when you go through our course, it is intense. Like it digs up the deepest parts of you and brings them up for resolution.
You witnessed me for 3 days crying over the course of the program because I was digging in so deep that all my shadow came up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we do. We seek to expose the shadows, to bring them into the light so that you can look at them for what they are and go, well, actually, is this useful to me or not? And if it's not, let's get rid of it and put something better there. And, you know, a lot of people think they're coming to just do this training course and they're going to learn something. Whereas actually the integrated part of what we do is we actually really care. We dig in. There is often a lot of tears, especially those, like the first day is kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening yet. This is cool. Day 2, 3, and 4 are usually terrible because people are like, oh my God, like all this stuff from the past, this stuff I thought I'd done the work on, it's still there. Ah. And then, you know, day 5, 6, 7, it's like, oh, life gets to be this good. How great is life? And so we're actually integrating it so that you're embodied in the practices and you're embodied in the way that you work with others and you're embodied in the way you work with yourself. Because otherwise what happens is we just create cookie cutter versions of coaches, which is, you know, it's kind of what's out there, not working.
As you're explaining this, because for me, everything is feeling. I've done so many plant medicine ceremonies, and which is great because it revealed a lot of things that I needed to work on. But integration for me was never available because I did not know how to clear those beliefs, quote unquote, programs by myself. And when I find out about NLP, I searched and I found online many PowerPoints. You can download this, $300, blah, blah, blah. And when I came to your site, not because I was impressed only with your website, but I've seen the people who actually graduated. And best about your program is, yes, you're with us over 100 hours, but after the training, you actually still with us and you're not charging us extra. I can actually message you and say, hey, Liz, I have a client. This is the problem. Which process do I need to do? And bam, you're there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I am super grateful for my team for as well. You know, we do run a big business and the team is all there as well. So it's not just coming from me, there's myself and everyone else in the team. If someone asks a question, one of us is there. And, you know, the only time we're not there is that tiny little period sort of between midnight and 4 a.m. Australian time. Most of the rest of the time, one of us is awake. And the beauty of that is that when I started on my personal development journey, I too was all about the feels. And I didn't want to do it alone.
Yeah.
And I still don't want to do it alone. I now run a multi-million-dollar business and I don't want to do it alone. I enjoy people. The whole reason I got into this industry is because I love people. And so why would I expect anyone who comes through my training to do it alone?
What's best about this also, besides you and the team, I was in a training with 80 other people. So when I share my quote unquote problem for that day, I get answers from 80 other perspectives, and it opens a whole new vortex for me.
Yeah, community is one of the biggest things. And we're excited that our US community is finally growing, because we've had people from the US and the UK, like just one here, one there. You know, this time there was like quite a few of you in the Zoom room, which is great. And there was one in the room as well. And so as our community grows, and by having the event that we have on a Thursday, like we have a free event on a Thursday called The Hive, by having that, it means that we're capturing people in real time from all over the world. You know, some of the Zoom calls that Nikki runs, I know that she runs a lot of them in a time frame that's available for the UK and the US. We have a lot that's run in Australian time, and a lot of that, if we do it early in the morning or super late at night, again, it's available all over the world. And we aim to be inclusive like that, because community is such a big thing these days. And particularly over the last 2 years, a lot of people lost their sense of community because they were isolated. And one of the things that we were lucky enough to do was get government permission to continue running through that time. And while we had that, we were able to keep sustaining community. And, you know, I know that you know how great our community is. Our community is so loving and so caring. And if I'm not around, someone else will answer your question.
Yes.
And I love that.
I never feel that I'm left out.
Yeah.
I want to talk about subconscious. This is also huge in my audience. I always tell what's in it, it's going to reflect as within, so without, whatever, you know, as above, so below, whatever, it's your blueprint. Can we please talk about subconscious and how we have access with linguistics?
Yeah, 100%. So when we think about the subconscious, if we go to the etymology of the word, so what the word actually means, that word only came into being in 1823. So when we think about language and how long language has been around for, 1823, 1923, 2023, right? It's not that old. It's not that old. So when we think about that word and we look at what does it mean, what's interesting is it actually means not wholly conscious or feebly conscious, right? Feebly conscious. So it means that it's happening in the mind, yet the mind itself is not conscious of what's happening. So this comes to play when we talk about things like shadow work. It comes to play when we talk about, you know, these limiting beliefs that seem unavailable to us, but they always stop us. It comes when we talk about procrastination versus motivation. There are things that are in our unconscious mind or our subconscious mind that we're just not aware of consciously. And so the beauty of what we do in integrated NLP, like you said, is we just start, I call it fishing, you know, throw out a fishing line. What's down there? You know, show me what's down there. What's down in that little bit down there? And the training's fully designed to bring the unconscious into consciousness so that we can actually create our future intentionally. And when I talk about that, we talk about linguistics, grammar, the whole way that we learn language. And the only thing that's remained over time is spelling. And it's interesting that spelling has remained. And I want you to think about magic for a minute. So when you do magic, you cast a spell. And we learn spelling. By taking away the grammar and taking away the structure of words, taking away Latin out of school, which often gave us keys to the roots of words, what we've done is taken away that foundation of linguistics, which means that people say what other people say instead of what they think, or instead of what they want to create intentionally. And so when we get our words right, and we create intentionally with our words, we're actually spelling what we want for the future. And therefore, all that is unconscious in the subconscious mind can become conscious, and we can see it and realize it right in front of us. And it makes it much easier to achieve goals.
So you told us that subconscious cannot process negatives.
Yeah, correct. So when we say something,
I'm more aware of how I'm talking because I want to create my reality.
absolutely.
That makes
So
sense.
think about this. When there's a child and they're running and the parent yells out, "Don't run," what does the child do? It runs even faster, or "Don't tap your foot like that." It taps even more. And when we talk about that, it's because the unconscious mind misses the negative. So it misses out the word not. So if you say don't, which is do not run, then all that the conscious mind hears is run. And we can see it much more clearly in children, and in adults, it works the same way. So if we say something like, "Don't spend all your money," then those people tend to spend a lot of money.
Yes.
Whereas if we say save your money or utilize your money effectively, then that creates much more of a toward motivator. Where when we say don't spend money, it sounds like, oh, why? Why can't I spend it? I want to spend it. And we go out and do the opposite. So the unconscious mind doesn't process negatives. What it means is, what if we were to use towards language all the time? What if everything we said was moving us towards our goal, towards what we wanted, in a way that was intentional and created by us? I wonder what would happen to people's lives then. And I already know the answer because I've watched it happen in mine.
Why I'm so passionate to give this tool to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Bringing them to the training and me helping them personally, our team helping them. This is why I can't stop talking about it, which I'm happy.
Yeah, it's great. And see that? Did you hear what Juliet just said? She just said, "I'm happy."
I'm happy.
And I wonder, before NLP, how long did it take you to realize when you were happy?
I was not satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm a very grateful person. I was always thinking, this is the best I got. This is it. Now I have zest for life. Every morning I wake up and I can't wait to create more and do more and share more. And I'm super excited.
And this is what's great about it, is because that was always in you. We didn't create that. It was already there. It was just you had these layers of programs in front of it that was stopping you seeing it and stopping you acting from it.
Okay, my next question. You said that I have programs. Those are filters that I have.
Yeah.
Filters. I'm not good enough. I have to work hard. Blah blah blah. So that was my strategy. That's how I lived my life.
Yeah.
Can someone notice their strategies and how NLP can change the pattern? Like Einstein was saying, if insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yes.
So sometimes most people don't even know they have a pattern. So if someone doesn't know and they don't know anything about NLP and they're just watching this interview, and after this interview, they start watching how they move or how they shop.
Yeah.
And how NLP can actually change this one session.
So what's interesting is that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if when you go to buy a dress, should we say dress? Maybe we should say pants, because then everyone wears pants. Hopefully everyone wears pants. So when you go to buy a pair of pants, there are some people who walk in, they've already looked online, they know exactly what they want, they walk in and they buy it. Those people are what we refer to as visual. Then there's people who, they might know what they want, they might not, but they walk in and they feel it. And then they have to try it on and see what it feels like. And if they like the feeling, then they'll buy it. And then there are people who analyze things. So they've looked online, they've sought out the best price, they've gone to the store that's going to give them the best price with the best quality, with the best materials, and then they look at it and they analyze it. And most of the time what they do is they think about it and they think and think and think, and then they think they better go to another store and do the same thing again, and then they buy it. Now, if you're one of those overthinkers, then all we need to do is change your strategy to either visual or feeling, so that we can make you move faster, so that you get to create decisions more easily. So if you're that person who takes forever to buy something, you're probably also the person who takes forever to create change in your life. You're probably also that person who takes forever to decide whether you're going to go out on Saturday night. And you're probably also the person who stands in your wardrobe looking at everything for ages before you decide what to wear each morning. Whereas if you're a visual person, you probably already know what you're wearing tomorrow morning, and you've planned it all out and it's all ready to go, and you get up and you get dressed and it's fast. So when we look at that, if we then map that across to relationships, for example, someone might meet the man of their dreams or the woman of their dreams. And if they're in that thinking mode, they'll just think and think and think, and they'll look for things that are right, and they'll also look for things that are wrong, and it'll take them forever. Someone who's visual will be like, are they hot? Are they not? If they're hot, we're on. If they're not, we're not. And someone who's kinesthetic is, they make me feel good, I love them already. And they love them before they even talk to them. And that's the feelers, right? Yeah, I'm guilty as well. So what we can do is, what we're looking for with integrated NLP is to expand our flexibility of behavior. So we're looking for, if that's the way we always do it, can we also try it this way? Can we give it a go that way? Can we, with these things, behave visually, with these things behave kinesthetically, and with these things behave more what we call AD, or in the thinking? And to give you an example of that, for me, like about to come on this live, I was like, okay, well, I need to do my makeup. I probably should brush my hair. It's really cold, so I'm leaving my jumper on. And now really cold in Australia is probably nothing compared to what it's like when it's cold in the States. It's probably 20 degrees Celsius. Yeah, so it's about 20 degrees Celsius here right now. It's cold for where I live in Queensland. And I was like, okay, cool. So I look nice. Then I did the, okay, is it feeling good? Yeah, it feels good. It's Juliet. I know her. She's one of my students. I love her. That's great. It feels good. And then it's like, I very, very briefly went, oh, I wonder what she's going to ask me. Now, that strategy works really well, because if I had have been someone who did the thinking over and over and over, I might have gone, what's she going to ask me? I need to ask her what questions she's going to ask. And I could have ruminated about it for days. Instead, I just turn up, she asks questions. I know I already know the answers, and I deliver them quickly and with more detail, which means that you guys get a better experience. So that, you know, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And if you can develop flexibility to learn to do things differently, then you're going to create a life that you enjoy a lot more.
So since the NLP training, for me, my decision-making got faster. I no longer sabotage myself.
Great.
You are your own biggest.
Yeah, the only person that ever holds you back is you.
Yes. And now the best part, my sales are higher.
Great.
My relationships are better.
Yep.
Because I know now, I understand you better, so I can speak your language.
Yes.
This training is basically gave me my superpower.
Yeah, which was already in you.
I just didn't know how to use it.
Correct.
Hit the on button.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that all of us, like, we all made it out of, 5 million sperm and 1 egg.
Yeah.
We're already a miracle.
Yeah.
We're already insanely worthy of being here and experiencing life to the fullest. And some people just don't know that. And it literally is like turning on a switch. It's like, hey, there you are. You're in there.
It is so fast.
Yeah.
One session, it's done. I can't even recall what was my problem.
Which is perfect.
Problem free.
Yeah.
And I wish this for everybody. So I want to talk about ECT. You're the inventor of ECT. ECT is short for
emotional change technique.
Emotional change technique.
Yeah.
How was ECT born? And what is it?
Okay. So it is a timeline process. So it utilizes the timeline. which is the concept of, you know, the past and the future. So we utilize the timeline and the way that the unconscious mind stores time, which, because of the way we've learnt about time, is quite linear, whereas really time is more circular. So what we do with what happened with ECT is I was looking for a way of helping people to be able to disconnect from major trauma from the past. So I'd had a traumatic past myself. I wanted to learn how to better disconnect from that. And then I realized that I was looking for the wrong thing, because I was looking for disconnection. I was like, hang on, my whole life is valued by connection. Like, I value people, I value connection. Why am I looking for disconnection? How can I integrate what happened to me, and how can I be okay with it? Where do I need to go to find that? And what I looked at was, well, if actually I go back to the time before the trauma existed and I look at who I am there, then if I can recreate that person with all the strength and with all the resources that I've gained from the trauma, because let's face it, trauma builds resilience, right? So there's a lot of resilience. So I didn't want to let go of everything that had happened, because a lot of it is what made me who I am today and made me really excited and proud and, you know, become who, like, the person who's created all of this. So I wanted to hold on to those pieces. And I also didn't want to experience any of the sadness anymore, or any of the feeling that I wasn't good enough anymore. I wanted to be the best version of me. So I started looking at other timeline techniques, and I realized that there was a little piece missing. And so I added in the piece, and then ECT was born. I recreated it. I looked at it. We did it a few times. I recreated it. We looked at it. And then I did it on a girl who was she'd actually worked with me for about 6 months, and her whole life had changed. She went from, you know, severe child abuse when she was young into homelessness, and then into feeling great about herself. The one thing that she couldn't quite kick was the worthiness piece. So she had a great business and she just wasn't selling anything because she couldn't get her money mindset right. And I did ECT with her. I thought I'll try it out on her and see what happens. And it worked. And the next day she started making money, and she's gone from strength to strength after that. And so then I shared it with my team, and they were like, oh my God, like, look what you've done. Like, this is phenomenal. And now we've shared it with 3 NLP pracs. So I think we're up to about 250 people in the world that are certified in ECT now. So you're one of not many, and which is great. And the technique works for everybody. Like, it just works. Yes. And it's a mixture of energetics, time, and the way we construct and store time, as well as trauma release techniques. And then some sounds and some visuals as well. It works brilliantly.
It's amazing. It literally changed my life. It did. And I want to share with the viewers, you can have ECT process for fear, for sadness, for hurt, guilt. I'm not good enough. I mean, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, it absolutely works on every limiting belief and every limiting emotion that you may have.
And since I graduated, I've actually done ECT on 5 people. And
Yay.
The result is absolutely 100% opposite of what they were suffering.
Yeah.
Not even 99%.
No, it works every time.
It works every time.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your training.
Yeah.
Maybe do you hold a year? And I join your training via Zoom. For people who are not in Australia, please tell us how that works. And your next training is in September. That's the last training of the year. So tell us about your trainings. What do you do a year? So
our Integrated NLP practitioner course runs 4 times a year. And so the last one for this year starts at the end of September. So it's September 20. Now, these are Australian dates, so it's going to be slightly different in the US. So it's September 28th to the 4th of October. And we run from generally 9 a.m. till about 9 or 10 or 11 p.m., depending on the day. And if you're over in the US, you might be thinking, oh my God, that's through my night. And yes, Juliet and many other people from the US, they started the training at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon and run through to 4 a.m. in the morning.
And I always tell them, are your excuses bigger than your dreams? 100%.
That's exactly what it is are your excuses bigger than your dream? It's 1 week of your life.
Yeah.
It's 1 week of your life. And we have people from the UK, we had people from the Philippines, New Zealand. We get people from all over the world that join us via Zoom. And it's much like this, except that instead of seeing me here like this, you're seeing me on a stage and you can see a whole lot of other people. And when I talk to people in the room, the cameras zoom in on that person so that if you're on Zoom, you can see them. If I'm writing on the whiteboard, the camera zooms in on the whiteboard. And if I want to talk to you, I just say, hey, or you put your hand up and I notice that you've got your hand up, and then we have a chat to you and we can chat to you from the room, and the room can hear you and you can hear the room.
I felt included. I felt definitely like in the room.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people go, oh, but is it the same? And it's like, yeah, actually it is. And, we have an incredible person in our team, Nikki, who is just brilliant, and she holds the Zoom room for us. And we had, with your training, we had Ryan, and Ryan said he'll come back again, which is great. And, those people are there to fully support the Zoom room. And in fact, Zoom gets a little bit of an advantage because they have a chat, right? Like the Zoom chat, and they talk in the chat the whole time. And they're like a secret society compared to the rest of the room, because the rest of the room has to pay attention. But Zoom can start these little chats on the side, which is quite nice. And it really creates another community.
I felt very taken care of when I actually did not feel good on the third day. Liz has 2 other master practitioners in the room helping her, Tyler and Amy. They literally both came in and checked in with me, and I was able to express how I was feeling, and they coached me right there, and I felt energized and went back into the game.
And that's exactly the same like in the room. If someone feels uncomfortable in the room, we look after them, and Amy and Tyler do that so that I can stay on stage. And if there's someone uncomfortable on Zoom between Nikki, Amy, and Tyler, they get looked after on Zoom as well. So it's exactly the same. We just put you in a breakout room, have a chat to you, and then, you jump back into the training.
And I'm going to add all the links below so people can access to the training dates and everything. So I want to talk about the master prac. So after this, which I'm coming in May.
Yay.
You have me for life. I'm going to be mastering this because I'm obsessed, because it changed my life. Now I want to share this. I want to give it away.
Yeah, well, that's how I got to this point. Like, I did it for me, and then I was like, that's not enough. Other people need to know this. And then, I shared it through coaching people, and then I was like, that's not enough. Like, I need to hit more people. So then we started our trainings, and then we started doing hybrid and, moving more around the world. And I had the opportunity to speak on stages with a lot of big names in personal development, like Dr. John Demartini, Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, Robert Kiyosaki, and so many more other amazing people, because we just kept saying yes and leaning in. And
your training center has actually a lot of trainings available: the speaker training, quantum healing, hypnosis. The track is 2 weeks, and I can't even comprehend what do you teach, because you have so much. You give me already so much, and I'm still processing all this stuff for myself. I'm so grateful that you actually built this center and you're serving us.
Yeah, well, that in itself was interesting, because we did that right in the middle of COVID. So everyone was like, you guys are crazy. You're like building this training center, and, the rest of the world's shutting down, and you guys just keep going. But I mean, that's how things get built, right?
Yes.
It's when you lean in the toughest of times. So Master Prac is a 2-week training. It's a phenomenal training. It brings in all the spirituality and the linguistics into a present. It's like a gift, right? And it allows people to utilize this even more than what you're already utilizing it. It gets even deeper into the shadow and really allows people to change. And with Masterprac, that is one that we only offer in Australia. So it's an in-room experience. And when you're overseas and you see what it's like in prac, you will definitely want to come in room for Masterprac. Yeah. Our speaker training is in room as well. Our quantum healing is online. So quantum healing can be accessed from anywhere in the world through our hybrid system, which is great. And our hypnosis is about to go online. So it should be available online in October.
That I definitely want that. I'm obsessed with hypnosis. I want to talk to you about, before my last question, I have one question, which is very important for me because that was my diagnosis. I've done so much work. I'm over 40. I've been doing this self-help, spirituality, detoxes, you name it. I've done it all for 20 years.
Yep.
And when I told you in the prac that I can't seem to move forward, you said to me, you're stuck on the lonely table.
Yes.
And how many people in America I know personally, and whoever is watching this is going to resonate so much. Person like me who's doing the work is not able to leave the lonely table, let alone someone just find out about this work and they're on the lonely table. Can you tell us what is the lonely table? And
you're giving away my best content here. No. Let me draw it. Let me see if I've got a page that's free. I
tried 3 days after that because it cured me. Yeah. I know I'm giving away maybe your best content, but
it's not really. It's great content, and people deserve to know it.
And I know this can help so many people. You are going to be someone's prayers, someone's answer to their prayers. Whoever is watching this, and this is going to be everywhere. I have a feeling that this video is going to be viral. This is needed. This is medicine, what we're putting together.
Okay, here we go. So you're sitting at your table, the table that you've been at for a long time, and it might have your mom, your dad, your kids. It might have your friends from school. It might have your friends from work. And you know you no longer fit at this table. And you see this other table over here where you really want to be part of it. And yet this table here, it just seems so far away. It seems like everyone at this table knows more than you. Everyone is more excited than you. Everyone has their mindset right. This table seems really far away. So you come off this table and you go, hey, let me look at this table. And you come and you just take a seat here and you go, wow, I don't feel good enough for this table. I feel like this table is way beyond me. It's way past who I am. And I'm not sure if I'm good enough. But you sit for a little while and you listen to the kind of conversations that are happening at this table, and you think about the kind of problems that people at this table have, which are really about solving the world's problems instead of their own. And you enjoy it. So you go back to this table because you don't feel good enough for this one. So you go back to this one, the one that you've been at. Oh, that's the light. The one that you've been at for your life. But when you get back there, you can't stand it anymore because you know what's available over here. And so you try really hard to fit in here and it just doesn't work. And you don't feel good enough to fit in here. So you come to this table and you sit there. And you sit there all alone, knowing that you're beyond this table and you haven't quite built a bridge to get to this one yet. And you sit there and it's lonely as all hell. It's horrible. It feels horrible because you're doing all the right things. And there's, this is the place where you sit there going, why me? I've done all the right things. I'm doing the work. I've got it together. Why me?
Yeah.
And the truth is, when you accept your greatness, you get to move to this table. And that's where all of us are waiting for you. And everyone at this table is, we're putting our hand out going, hey, come on, come with us. It's better. And, that metaphor, I know that there's so many people sitting at that lonely table right now. Yep. They've moved away from what they used to be they know there's so much more in life, and they're either trying to fit into that old table or they're at the lonely table, and neither of those things feels comfortable. So they're not completely out of their comfort zone, but they're far enough out of it that it just feels yuck, and they're sitting at that lonely table. And as soon as they decide to move to the table where the others are waiting for them, life gets infinitely better.
It already did for me. And if you are sitting on the lonely table, this is the training. This is the training. You are it. Before we say goodbye, I would love for you to share with our viewers your mission, because you're all about creating this reality for us, for me, for people you haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah. So the thing that I've noticed the most when I started coaching was I looked after a lot of women who were in abusive relationships or who'd been through domestic violence, a lot of single mums. And I'd been there too. You know, I'd left a domestic violence relationship, and then I had moved into my own space, and I was struggling, and I really wanted to do personal development. I didn't think I could afford it. But I went all in anyway. I just invested, and I looked after a lot of those people. And the one thing I noticed is that those women had to become hard. They'd had to become tough. They'd had to lose a lot of their femininity and become more masculine. And I noticed that they didn't like men very much. And, I guess that's somewhat understandable. But I was like, most of them still really wanted the dream. They still really wanted to be married, have kids, have a great life, feel in love, all of that stuff. And I was like, where's the problem here? So I started looking for it, and this is how the mission was born. I realized that actually women want masculine men. Women want men who are brave enough to hold them, who can handle their tantrums, who can handle their, the fluidity of what a woman is, who can handle us in flow. And I realized that men were actually too scared to be that. Because women were so in their masculine that as soon as a man stepped into their masculine, they just butted heads and created conflict. So my mission is to allow men to step back into masculinity safely, so that women can feel safe, and women can feel respected, and women can feel loved and nurtured. And that will create a really safe place on earth for children, so that no child ever has to experience that loneliness and the tornness of a family breaking up, so that we actually return to who we're meant to be. So that's my big mission.
Thank you so much for everything. You touched me so deeply.
I'm really proud of you, Juliet. And I'm really excited to be sharing this. Look up. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm going to put all the details below. You guys can reach me. I'm here for you. I do offer a 6-week breakthrough program as well. If you're in the world, we are 200 of us. In Australia, we have heaps of coaches waiting for you. In England, in Thailand, reach out and I will connect you if I'm not available with some of my friends. And if this training is calling you, do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd love to serve you. Mwah.